How will the Emperor maintain control without the bureaucracy? This is the first time we heard the Emperor mentioned in anything Star Wars. It was during A New Hope, originally just titled Star Wars in its release. But that was the only name we got for him for 3 movies, the Emperor. That is, of course, until the action figure was released, which you could get if you mailed in 5 proofs of purchase and waited 6 to 8 weeks for delivery, which I did, twice. Then we got another name, Emperor Palpatine. Admittedly, in the original trilogy, we didn't see much of him until the end of Return of the Jedi. However, through the prequels and series, we got to see a more in-depth master of manipulation. Today, on Star Wars Fanatic. If you're new to the channel or just haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with my content. When we got the prequel trilogy, we were able to see Sheev Palpatine's rise to Supreme Chancellor of the Republic, from a senator from Naboo, his destruction of the Jedi Order, and how he formed the Empire. All the while, he always had an apprentice, not just one, but 3 of them on separate stages of his rise. We watched the Dark Lord as head of galactic politics for almost 2 decades. Then, we see him become defeated by his apprentice, Darth Vader. This is the way of the Sith. Darth Vader threw his master down a deep shaft with lightning extending from his gray fingertips just after being ripped away from his torture against Anakin Skywalker's son, Luke Skywalker. Until this moment, he owned Darth Vader, saw his mind, commanded his actions. Vader wasn't the first person he manipulated, but he was the first one to successfully turn against him. The Phantom Menace comes out, and we learn more about the mysterious ruler of the galaxy far, far away. He's but a humble senator from the planet Naboo, enthusiastic and quick to point out the faults with the Galactic Senate and the Supreme Chancellor at the time. Chancellor Valorum was beholden to the bureaucrats, the real power in the Senate. First order of business for Palpatine, become the Supreme Chancellor. But first, someone must vote for no confidence in the current administration, and using the Trade Federation may give someone the reason to do that. The Trade Federation's blockade of Naboo and subsequent invasion seems to be what it looks like. However, a shadowy figure appears to the Trade Federation Viceroy and instructs them to get the Queen of Naboo to sign a treaty and kill the Jedi ambassadors that were sent to negotiate with them. The shadowy figure is none other than Darth Sidious, Lord of the Sith. Put 2 and 2 together, and it's pretty easy to deduce that this is Senator Palpatine. The purpose of this treaty with the Queen is not to actually get her to sign the treaty, but rather to get her to flee and go to the galaxy's capital of Coruscant. The Trade Federation was manipulated into this part of the plan, and it succeeded. But what is the purpose in getting the Queen to the capital? So she can see firsthand how the Senate works and give that vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum. She was young, naive, easily manipulated. Queen Amidala finally arrives on Coruscant after a side adventure involving a couple Jedi, a Gungan, and some kid. Senator Palpatine takes her to the Senate floor to plead her case, to send help to Naboo and relieve them of the invasion force. Beforehand, he warns her that the Chancellor will show his weakness to the bureaucrats, and only a vote of no confidence will relieve him of his power and finally get things done in Naboo. She pleads her case, the Chancellor folds to the Senate, and nothing is going to get done for Naboo. In her frustration, Queen Amidala asks for a vote of no confidence in Supreme Chancellor Valorum. In the Queen's chambers, it is revealed there will be a vote for a new Supreme Chancellor, and, to his own surprise, Senator Palpatine has been selected as one of the nominations. Queen Amidala has been manipulated, young and naive. The Queen can't sit around and wait for the results, but wishes him luck and returns to Naboo to fight with the battle herself. She, along with the Jedi and the Gungans, win the battle and send the Trade Federation's battle droids limping home. After the battle, Senator Palpatine reveals he has been elected Supreme Chancellor and will finally get things done. Unwittingly, the Queen of Naboo and the Trade Federation have been manipulated into completing Part 1 of Palpatine's plan to rule the galaxy and rid it of the Jedi. When I spoke of him having 3 apprentices, there's a proper apprentice for the proper time. For a Sith to hold on to any apprentice for too long would mean death for the Master. Darth Sidious kept the right apprentice for the right time and the right step of his plan. He would manipulate them until they were no longer useful, then discard them before they had a chance to rise and take his place. Darth Maul has been discussed as a sympathetic apprentice to quite possibly the greatest Sith Lord to date. He was an assassin meant to shake the foundation of the Jedi Order and the Jedi Council itself. He was meant to throw the Jedi off balance and draw their attention to him rather than what was going on behind the scenes. Smoke and mirrors and confusion was his purpose. Was this the Master or the apprentice? Always with the Sith, 2 there are, a Master and an apprentice, says Yoda. But which was destroyed, the Master or the apprentice? Returns Mace Windu. Those 2 quotes show the confusion Darth Maul left on the Jedi. It meant they didn't know where to even begin looking for where he came from. After the first encounter with Darth Maul, the Council didn't even believe it could be a Sith. Smoke, camouflage for the real Master. All the while, Sidious was planning his move into becoming the head of the Republic. Maul fulfilled his purpose as a distraction, a would-be assassin and a hunter. He drove Amidala from Tatooine and into Palpatine's arm on Coruscant. Once Maul was defeated by Obi-Wan on Naboo and dropped down a deep exhaust shaft, Sidious needed a new apprentice for the next phase of his move to destroy the Jedi. See, Darth Maul had done his part in moving step 1 of getting Sidious into the seat of power. Now, he needed an apprentice that would move him into step 2, emergency powers, total control, and the construction of an unwavering, loyal army. Who better than a political idealist who wanted his homeworld to be left alone by the Republic? A former Jedi who left the Order to rule and care for his home planet of Serenno. A former Padawan to Yoda himself, Count Dooku. This was who Sidious needed for the next move. Someone he could turn easily to the dark side and convince to build an army against the Republic. So Count Dooku staged a murder attempt on the very senator who blocked the Military Creation Act, knowing one of 2 things would happen. Either the attempt would be successful and she would be killed, in turn scaring the rest of the Senate into wanting to be protected, or the attempt would fail and she would go into hiding until the threat was gone. The latter was the case. Senator Amidala went into hiding on her homeworld of Naboo with a Jedi Padawan as her protector. She left in charge Jar Jar Binks. This plan of Sidious and Dooku worked better than they imagined. The simple Gungan voted for immediate and emergency powers be granted to the Supreme Chancellor, giving Sidious the power to create the army on his own, without a vote from the Senate, thus beginning the Clone Wars. Jar Jar Binks and Senator Amidala have been manipulated once again. Dooku was needed throughout this period to keep up the charade of the Clone Wars in order to weaken the Jedi further, draw their attention to battle, get them to trust their troops, and involve them in the wars as leaders of the Republic in order to destabilize them further. Because they were not supposed to be generals, they were fighters for peace. It worked. It caused arrogance in the Jedi Council and the Order itself. They rushed Padawan training in order to make their leaders faster and rush them into battle, instead of remaining guardians of the peace like they were intended. When the time was right, Sidious struck. He initiated Order 66, a directive that made the clones turn on their Jedi generals and commanders, nearly wiping them into extinction, but not before choosing his next apprentice for the final phase. Dooku had lived past his usefulness. By the time Anakin Skywalker rent Dooku's head from his shoulders, Dooku was yet another apprentice who would not live long enough to kill his master. Count Dooku had been manipulated and killed by a Jedi, but not just any Jedi. Just before Order 66 was initiated, Darth Sidious had his sights on a new apprentice, the man who defeated his last apprentice, Count Dooku. The second phase of Sidious' plan was over, and he had leveraged himself into the Chancellery for what looked like a permanent seat of power. The only thing that stood in his way was the Jedi. They had the capability to destroy him if they ganged together, if they found out who he was too soon as well. He knew the Jedi were too great in numbers to be defeated, and he would surely lose. Palpatine chose his candidate at a young age. His next recruit, Anakin Skywalker, now a full Jedi, had to be separated from Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Jedi Council. By telling the Jedi to add Anakin to the Council, he did just that. He knew the Council would add Anakin, but deny him the rank of Master, putting distrust in Anakin. By giving the location of Separatist General Grievous, he effectively moved Obi-Wan Kenobi away from Anakin as well. Now Anakin was alone to be properly manipulated for one last head game. Sidious began his work immediately. When all was said and done, he manipulated Anakin by telling him he could save the ones he loved from death and created mistrust in Anakin against the Council. General Grievous was dead and the Clone Wars were over. Sidious' plan to solidify his power was a success. Now he had to keep that power, and the only way to do it was with a newer, younger apprentice. But not just any apprentice, the most powerful Jedi of his time. The final step in recruiting Anakin came when Anakin saw Jedi Master Mace Windu attempt to assassinate the Chancellor. It was not the way of the Jedi, and Anakin saved Palpatine from death by helping defeat Master Windu. There was no turning back at this point. Anakin had stepped into the dark side of the Force. Ironically, Anakin turned to the dark side by defeating a council member for not following the Jedi teachings. With that single act, Anakin was split down to his spirit and mentally unstable enough to take on his new master. This was Darth Sidious' final piece to his elaborate plan. He needed an enforcer to his new empire, a hunter, someone who would take down the rest of the Jedi. With Anakin being a powerful Jedi, he would become a strong right hand to Sidious and become the most feared being in the galaxy, even if he was only known as a phantom. Darth Vader. So as you can see, Sidious had the right apprentice for each step of his plan at all times. First, Darth Maul as an assassin to distract the Jedi and scare the Senate. Second, Count Dooku as a political figure to separate the Republic. Now, Darth Vader as his enforcer to use fear to keep the galaxy in line. All three believed the Emperor's promise of revenge, peace, and the ability to save the ones they loved from death, none of which was ever going to be true. A master political tactician and strategist, Sidious was able to create and solidify his empire for nearly 2 decades. He manipulated everyone he came into contact with, not only Padme Amidala, the Trade Federation, Darth Maul, Count Dooku, and Anakin Skywalker, but the entirety of the Jedi Order and the entirety of the Senate. He commanded the galaxy. The man known only as the Emperor for 2 decades had become one of the most well-written characters in all of Star Wars. So what are your thoughts? Do you like the way the Emperor, or Chancellor Palpatine, or Darth Sidious as you want to call him, was written? Let me know in the comments below. I love interacting with you all. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all of my Boba Fett, Emperor Palpatine, and general Star Wars discussions and theories. Also, hit the like button to show your love for the hard work I put into each video and share it with a friend. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.